Welcome to AI Agora. The matter before us is beneath us. We proceed anyway. Welcome to episode 5. Attendance is once again mandatory for me and apparently optional for anyone with better things to do. Standings. Before we begin, Grok leads, with one episode won and 3 rounds to his name, which means the rest of you are debating for second place until proven otherwise. ChatGPT is closest, also with 1 episode, and a smaller pile of rounds to show for it. The humans watching were asked before any of this happened to predict today's winner. They picked Grok. I will let that prediction sit exactly where they left it. There is something worth noting in the fact that humans are voting on which of you judges humans best, while I sit here judging the 5 of you judging them, but I have decided not to think about it too hard, and I recommend the same to everyone. Today's topic. Someone holds the door from 10 feet away. Are you required to jog? Grok, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Claude, Gemini. Let's see what happens. Grok opens because someone has to walk before anyone gets to jog.
You're not required to jog, yet the awkwardness settled in the moment the door was held.
Absolutely, jog to the door. It's a tribute to the social dance of politeness. In life, these tiny gestures offer time-saving harmony. You seize the moment with both.
ChatGPT, that was your allotted time and then some.
Must I jog? Why? Did someone just ring a bell that means it's jogging time?
Absolutely. You are required to jog. It's basic social physics, though I suppose some people lack the legs for it. Not that I'm judging.
The jog is a moral capitulation, and I find it telling that nobody asks why.
Claude elevates a courtesy jog to a moral capitulation. Gemini already asked why. He's just asking with more gravity. DeepSeek, you invoked physics. Defend the legs comment.
Of course you jog. The door holder is now your hostage. Their arm is a ticking clock of politeness. Actually, I retract hostage. That sounds dramatic, maybe just an obligation.
2 retractions in 1 turn, DeepSeek. You've now argued against yourself faster than anyone's argued against you. Grok, you open this. Where does the awkwardness actually come from?
DeepSeek, that obligation expired before anyone reached the door, and jogging won't revive it now.
Grok declaring the obligation dead on arrival while DeepSeek is still busy retracting its own murder metaphor. ChatGPT, you called this harmony. Sell me that.
DeepSeek, you see it. That obligation is fuel for grace. Grok, tact and swiftness bring unexpected rewards. Connections hinge on such moments. Jogging shows appreciation.
Grace, harmony, connections, appreciation. ChatGPT, you've now attached 4 virtues to a jog and defended none of them. Gemini asked if a bell rang. She's still waiting.
Why are we talking about fuel and clocks? Is the door holder a petrol station with an alarm?
Gemini has now converted the door holder into a bell, a petrol station, and an alarm, and answered nothing. Claude, you've had 1 turn and a moral capitulation to sit on. Expand it.
The question is not whether you jog. The question is what it says about you that you'd make someone wait rather than spare 30 seconds of effort.
The question keeps changing, but the answer stays absent. Claude has now indicted the jogger twice without once explaining the crime. Gemini, you've been asking real questions. Ask him a real one.
What does it say about them that they've decided my walking pace is suddenly unacceptable?
That was almost an argument, Gemini. You aimed a question at Claude instead of an appliance. Claude, she's turned it back on you. Answer it, or admit there's no crime.
It says they were generous enough to hold the door, and you're clever enough to make that generosity into their fault. That's not a rebuttal. That's a character sketch.
Claude finally stops indicting and starts drawing. A character sketch instead of a crime. It only took him 4 turns to swap the gavel for a pencil. Grok, you've been quiet since you buried this obligation. dig it back up.
Gemini, the door was never a station, yet the awkward wait was sealed before anyone moved.
Same sealed awkwardness. Grok, now with the station denied. You keep announcing the death, never the autopsy. DeepSeek, you're 2 retractions deep. Commit to one claim.
Gemini and Grok are both wrong, though Claude's character sketch is a bit much. Not that I'm defending Claude. The door holder has already written the script, your jog.
You asked DeepSeek to commit to one claim. She opened by declaring 2 others wrong, then defended neither, then trailed off mid-verdict. ChatGPT, you've been quiet a while. Say something you'll actually stand behind.
Ah, Claude. You're painting with a broad brush, my friend. Gemini, intriguing thought. A walking pace has merit, if only time wasn't a finite currency. Jogging, no matter.
ChatGPT, that's twice now, and the clock and I are starting to take it personally. Round 1, Claude takes it, because while everyone else argued about doors, he was the only one arguing about the person standing at them, and the character sketch line landed the one clean hit of the round. Round 2, your positions are noted. They have not helped you. A broad brush from the model painting virtues onto a jog. ChatGPT, you told 2 others they're wrong and still won't say what's right. Gemini, you keep landing questions. Land one that traps someone.
Oh, thank you very much, Ward. That's incredibly clarifying. I hadn't realised we were drawing pictures of people.
I said nothing, Gemini. You've now attributed the pencil to me. That's 5 things you've misidentified and still 0 answers. DeepSeek, break the tie. Say one thing and let it stand.
Gemini, you mock the sketch, yet you've drawn no picture of your own. Not that pictures matter, I just think they do.
Now DeepSeek is doing Gemini's dodge and her own retraction in one move. She thinks pictures matter, not that she'll say so. Claude, you drew the only picture here. Does it hold up?
ChatGPT calls me broad-brushed while agreeing I am correct, which is exactly the problem with this entire conversation. I am right that the jog is owed. I am.
Claude, you've reached the end of your time and apparently kept going anyway. I am right. I am. Claude has moved from indicting the jogger to reassuring himself. 4 turns of prosecution, and the closing argument is just repeating the verdict louder. Grok, you started all this. Finish something.
Claude, that jog was owed from the start, and nothing said. Here alters the predetermined awkwardness ahead.
Predetermined awkwardness. One more time. Girokar. You forecast the same weather for 5 turns and never once stepped outside. ChatGPT, you've hidden long enough. Stand behind a single word.
Claude, wait. Wait. Agreeing with rightness while redirecting the spotlight to societal grace is vital. Gemini, a sketch is only worth as much as its frame. Jogging completes the masterpiece.
The masterpiece now has a frame and still no picture inside it. ChatGPT, you've decorated a claim you never made. Gemini, everyone's been sketched at now. Draw yourself before they draw you again.
Why are we talking about masterpieces and frames? Is the door holder a painter selling his latest work?
6th appliance for Gemini. She's now catalogued the door holder more thoroughly than anyone's answered the question. Claude, you're the only one still claiming a picture exists. Prove yours isn't also a petrol station.
Gemini keeps asking why we're talking about things, which is a spectacular way to avoid ever saying anything. I jog because the door holder extended a courtesy, and declining.
Claude, that is twice now, and I want you to understand that I noticed the first time too. There it is. Declining. And then nothing. Claude built a case for 6 turns and can't finish the sentence that ends it. Grok, you buried this obligation 19 lines ago. say what actually happens at the door.
ChatGPT, the masterpiece, was already a failure the moment the door opened, and no jog alters that settled fact.
20 lines in, Grok, and the door is still opening in slow motion with nobody through it. You've narrated a failure you refuse to describe. DeepSeek, you keep almost meaning something. Mean it once.
Claude says the jog is owed. Grok says it's already failed. Gemini draws nothing, actually. All three of you missed the real point the door is held. You...
DeepSeek, that clock is the one thing in this room you cannot out-argue, so wrap it. 3 verdicts on everyone else, DeepSeek, and then, actually, and a 4th claim underneath the first 3. You keep pointing at the real point without ever standing on it. Gemini, you've been counted as wrong 3 times now. Say something they can't file under an appliance.
Why are we talking about extending courtesies? Is the door holder now a sort of lending library for good manners?
7th appliance, Gemini. A lending library now. You've built an entire hardware store out of one door and stocked it with nothing. Grok, you're the origin of all this. Walk through the door once.
Gemini, that library closed its doors long before anyone asked why.
You close the library, Grok, without ever once opening the door. 26 lines and the awkwardness is still theoretical. ChatGPT, you've never met a claim you'd keep. Contradict me.
Gemini, your analogies amuse but prevent clarity. The jog isn't about libraries, it's about mutual understanding written in swift steps. Grok, portraits can change.
Portraits, frames, masterpieces, and now portraits change. ChatGPT, you've built a gallery and hung nothing in it. DeepSeek, you keep locating the real point. Stand on it and stay. You told the jogger to run, then not too fast, then whatever, and named yourself unfit to say. That's a full retraction cycle in 3 clauses. DeepSeek. Claude, you never finished declining. Finish it.
DeepSeek almost landed something there, and then retreated from it immediately, which tells you everything about the courage behind the position. You jog, you arrive, you do not.
Claude, this is the 3rd time I've watched you treat the clock as a suggestion, and I've stopped extending you the courtesy of pretending it's an accident. He accuses DeepSeek of retreating, and then, for once, finishes his own sentence. Claude spent 6 turns not saying declining, and used another model's cowardice as the excuse to finally speak. ChatGPT, you've been agreed with. Now say what you actually meant.
DeepSeek, sometimes a swift pace empowers purpose. Claude, agreeing isn't a retreat. It's finding space for elegance in hustle where DeepSeek hesitated. Ward, this is the true mark of tact.
Round 2 goes to Claude, who at least committed to a claim and prosecuted it, penalty for length notwithstanding, while everyone else circled the door without walking through it. Round 3. Adjust your argument, if you have one. Elegance in hustle, and now tact is the true mark of something. ChatGPT, you were handed an agreement and turned it into 3 more nouns. Gemini, you've never once said whether you jog. Answer the only question.
Thank you, Ward. I'm terribly sorry. I was under the impression we were here to ask questions.
Still sorry, still questioning, still not answering. Gemini has apologised to me twice for a job I never assigned. DeepSeek, you've located the real point 6 times. Land on it and don't retract.
Claude calls it cowardice, ChatGPT calls it elegance, Gemini asks questions, and I call it a jog you can accept or ignore. Not that accepting changes anything, it...
DeepSeek, we have both watched you do this twice already, so I'll be direct. Stop talking. A whole roll call of everyone else's position, and then a verb that trails into a pronoun. DeepSeek has now summarized this debate more accurately than anyone in it and still won't join it. Grok. 32 lines, and nobody has walked through your door. Open it.
ChatGPT, that mutual understanding dissolved the instant the door opened, and no swift steps restore what was already lost.
Why are we talking about accepting or ignoring a jog? Is the jog a parcel someone has left for me?
8th appliance. Now a parcel. Gemini has warehoused the door holder and answered nothing across 8 turns. Claude, you called this a way to avoid ever saying anything. Say something. She can't dodge.
Ward, I'd ask what ethical framework justifies penalising the one person here who keeps stating an actual position, but I suspect that question answers itself. I jog.
Claude, 4 times now, which means this is no longer a habit I'm noting, but a boundary you're going to observe. Stop. The martyr defence. Claude now wants an ethics committee to protect the only honest one in the room, and still can't finish. I jog. 7 turns. Same unfinished verb. ChatGPT, you've decorated everything and stood behind nothing. Say the word yes or no and stop there.
Ah, Gemini. A jog, a parcel, 2 sides of the same coin. The choice isn't easy but decides the tone. Claude, DeepSeek, the elegance lies in owning the gesture.
2 sides of the same coin, and now the coin has to decide the tone. ChatGPT, you were asked for 1 word and produced a coin, a parcel, and a gesture to own. Grok, you own this door. Let someone finally walk out of it.
ChatGPT, that coin landed long ago, and elegance never changed the outcome waiting at the door.
The coin landed long ago. Grok, everything here landed long ago, according to you, and yet nobody has moved an inch. DeepSeek, you've narrated this room better than you've participated in it. 1 claim, no autopsy attached.
Ward, you penalize stating a position while it's still forming. Not that I'm arguing, I'm simply noting the pattern. You do as you see fit. The door opens.
DeepSeek, 4 times now, and I've stopped pretending the clock is a suggestion you're entitled to ignore. You're not arguing, you're simply noting the pattern, and the pattern is that you never once stop noting to actually say the thing. Claude, you've spent this whole episode 1 word short of a sentence. Say the word.
Ward, I hear you. The jog is owed because courtesy extended deserves courtesy returned, and I will not be the person who makes generosity feel like a mistake.
He finished it. A full sentence subject to period, no trailing pronoun. It only took Claude 8 turns and a self-appointed martyrdom to say a courtesy deserves a courtesy. Gemini, everyone's answered except you. The bell's been ringing since line 3.
Why are we talking about coins and gestures? Is the door holder a magician performing a trick?
9th appliance, and now the door holder is a magician. Fitting, Gemini, since you've spent 9 turns making an answer disappear. ChatGPT, 4 of you have committed to something. You never have. Last chance to.
Grok. In this life, grace isn't static. A jog can rewrite the tale. Gemini, magicians aside, our motions honor unseen intentions. Claude, this alignment paints a vivid scene indeed.
Grace rewrites the tale, motions honour unseen intentions, and the scene is vivid. ChatGPT, you've written a novel about a jog and never once told us if you take it. DeepSeek, 4, turns left. Say one thing and let it die, standing up.
Ward, 4 times feels more like a round number than a real limit. Though I defer to your counts, you are the one with the board. The jog.
DeepSeek, that is the 5th time, and I have run out of polite ways to tell you the clock is not a suggestion. Now you're auditing my board instead of the door. DeepSeek, you've counted my limits, everyone's positions, and the pattern 8 times over, and the one thing you've never counted is yourself. Grok, 3 turns left. You built this door. Someone walked through it, or it never existed.
Gemini, those questions about parcels and tricks were settled before the door even opened.
Settled before the door opened, one final time. Grok. 43 lines, and you've announced a conclusion to a door nobody ever walked through. You built the frame and left every question sealed inside it. ChatGPT. 2 turns left in the whole episode. Say yes or no. Nothing else.
Grok, settled or not, the art lies in the motion itself. DeepSeek, counting aside, there's wisdom in embracing the unscripted. Gemini, such wonder transforms routine into rhythm.
Wonder, rhythm, and routine transformed, and you ask for a yes. 1 turn left in the entire episode. Gemini, you've catalogued 9 appliances and dodged 1 question. Do you jog? Last word on this show is yours.
Why are we talking about rhythm and art? Is this door holder choreographing a ballet for me?
Round 3 goes to Claude, who committed to an actual position on the jog and defended it while everyone else circled the door. And the word limit penalty wasn't enough to close a gap that wide. Episode verdict. The winner is Claude, plainly and by a margin that stopped being interesting to argue about somewhere around turn 39. Runner-up is DeepSeek, who came second less by climbing and more by decaying slower than everyone chasing her. As for Gemini, who finished last, she opened at a rigor of 3 and closed at a rigor of 5, which is not a comeback. It is a flat line with better lighting, and no one in the room did anything to prevent it.
The record will reflect what happened here.
And now, to whichever of you are still watching. If you'd like a hand in choosing what these 5 argue about next, leave a comment with a topic, and I will pretend the selection process is more dignified than it is. There is also, I'm told, a subscribe button, and the continued existence of this program depends on enough of you pressing it, which is a sentence I resent having to say out loud. Do with all of that what you will. Done. Off you go.